David Boren, former United States Senator and now President of the University of Oklahoma, recently wrote a small book called Letter to America, and I pray that every American will get that book just next to his Bible. In it he says, there are so many important questions that we are not asking ourselves. 3- and 4-year-old children constantly ask, why? But American adults at the beginning of the 21st century seem to have stopped asking the questions that need to be asked. One reason we do not confront the challenges that will shape our future is that we have forgotten so much about our past. We have developed a case of national amnesia about the ideas, values, and actions that made us great, unquote. President Boren, in this little book, which is just like that, 3 inches by 4, cite Bruce Cole. In June 2002, Bruce Cole, then a chair of the National Endowment for Humanities, made a speech in which he wisely said, "A nation that does not know why it exists or what it stands for cannot be expected too long to endure." We must recover from the amnesia that shrouds our history in darkness, our principles in confusion, and our future in uncertainty. We cannot expect that a nation which has lost its memory will keep its vision. We cannot hope that forgetting our past will enhance our focus on the future, unquote. President Boren goes on to say, for each of us, it is our life story that gives us our identity. What we have experienced, our personal histories define us. If you were to lose your personal story, you would lose your personhood. The same is true for our national story. If we forget it, we lose our vision, our identity, our national soul. Our national story unifies us, strengthening us, and inspiring us. This generation will have failed America if we let our national story die with us. We must pass it on. Abraham Lincoln and the American Civil War are part of our national story. And just as we cannot separate George Washington's life of prayer from his military and political leadership, neither can we ignore the role of his Christian faith played in the life of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln said, "I have been driven many times to my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for that day." Lincoln, like Washington, was a man of prayer. He regarded the Civil War in some respects as a divine punishment visited upon the United States for its accumulated national sins. He also saw it as an opportunity to purge the nation of some of those sins forever and to achieve a national salvation. Taking office at the beginning of the war, he offered this prayer for the nation, and this information from a book that I had, Wits and Wisdom of Abraham Lincoln. Wonderful book to have. We have been the recipient, he writes, of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved these many years in peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, in wealth, and power as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand that preserved us in peace and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us. And we have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. Intoxicated with unbroken success, we have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of redeeming grace, too proud to pray to God that made us. It behooves us then to humble ourselves before the offended power, to confess our national sins, and to pray for the clemency and forgiveness. I still have confidence that the Almighty, the Maker of the universe, will, through His instrumentality of His great and intelligent people, bring us through present difficulties, as He has through all the other difficulties of our own country. Abraham Lincoln wrote those words about 150 years ago, but they are still applicable and real today. Real today. Neil Armstrong, first words when setting foot on the moon were, "One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." He was the first man on the moon, and what he said was true. But 40 years later, we can say one step in technology is one giant decline in morality.